Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Angel's Haven. I want to make a little video to show you some improvements that I've made to the house. I consider them improvements. Let's call them changes, and you tell me what you think. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that I've spent a lot of time worrying about the weight on my shelves. Originally, each shelf had 2 brackets. The shelf that you see under the photograph, the big blue photograph by Genevieve Casey, that shelf currently has 4 brackets. The 2 interior brackets are in the position that they originally occupied, and the 2 outer brackets originally were over on the other shelf. The other shelf is deeper, so when I bought additional brackets, they turned out to be bigger, so we just moved the small ones over to the narrower or shallower shelf. The shelf on the left was made for me by my father when I went away to college. I didn't go very far because I went to St. Louis University, but they were from my first apartment. I originally had 2 of them. One of them got lost along the way. So my friend Sheldon made the second one to coordinate with it. I'll get a little closer so you can see. My dad designed the shelf with scalloped edges, and Sheldon mimicked that edging with this shelf, but he made it deeper, which I really like. So all of this food was stored on this shelf and it looked junky, so I went to various thrift stores and got those baskets. I really like thrifting, and as you know, one of my primary reasons for thrifting is to make the world a little more sustainable. My mother used to say everything is used when you leave the store with it, and that made a lot of sense to me. So at any rate, I got the baskets and organized the food in the baskets, and then I was concerned that maybe there was too much weight on the shelf, so I got more brackets, and my friend Jim Carrier came over from Oakland and he rearranged them to put all the short ones on the narrow shelf, and then we used the new ones for the deeper shelf. It seems to me to be more secure. At the same time, I got rid of a few things that were on that shelf that were old and like almost empty. I've considered the possibility of getting containers, jars, or canisters, but to me, that's a lot of trouble, opening up everything, putting it in the container. So, I don't want to do that. So, on this wall is where I was going to have the window when I was originally designing the house, but I knew I had this large photograph that I wanted to have on this wall or on some wall, and I also needed a space for shelves, so I sacrificed the window in order to have the wall space, and I think it was a good decision ultimately. So other changes that I've made in the house, when Jim was here, he was nice enough to put, let me see if I can show it to you, another silver hook here. A guy that lives in the park had put one here for towels, and I had had a command hook here for the last year and it finally fell off. I have put these little command hooks, the kind with the metal hook, I really like, and they work very well. So I have a few of these that I put up recently to organize things. I put a couple over here. I have a new piece of furniture. So one of the things I've continued to do is to downsize, particularly my clothes, and that wicker cabinet that is right there at the top of the stairs was under here, and the drawers were filled with socks, underwear, and pajamas. I went through it and I eliminated some old ones or ones that I didn't wear. I had that wicker cabinet in here, and it's not as wide as this space, so I had a folding chair next to it, the mate to this folding chair that you see at the table. That folding chair is now in the storage compartment on the back of my house. I found this oak 2-drawer cabinet at a good old-fashioned junk barn yesterday. I didn't really need another piece of furniture, but I needed a different piece of furniture. There had been an old wicker cabinet up there with my printer on it. That's now outside. I'm going to get rid of it. I knew if I got a cabinet that went in here, it would give me an opportunity to have something that looked a little nicer. There's an Amish table over there. I don't know if you can see it. And that looks really nice, and it's sort of evocative of this cabinet. So I cut down my socks and underwear so that they fit into these 2 drawers. And I went through the big drawers and eliminated things I don't wear and was able to have a place in there for my pajamas. When I found this table, I knew right away that I loved the look of it. The dealer said it is called Tiger Oak. He bought an estate, and it was one of the pieces in it. And it's the right depth. It's 20 inches deep, exactly, fits in there. 19 inches wide, fits in there. It's 30 inches, it's 26 inches tall. My jewelry box, which is here, was sitting over there. And I always accumulate books from the thrift store, and I needed a place for them. The dealer had this marked $75. I told him that was more than I wanted to spend, and also that I had wanted a cabinet that had 4 drawers that instead of a big space. And so I told him, if you have a basket that could go under there and you'll mark it down and throw the basket in, I'll take it. So he marked it down to $60. This is the original skeleton key with the little pom-pom still on it that the person had. So the drawers are nice and deep. I was able to organize things in them very well. And I think she might have been his wife, I don't know, found this basket. So I put my blanket in it, and they threw the basket in for free, marked it down to $60. It fits perfectly, it looks better, it's completely my style. Here's another example of where I've used those command hooks. I hang my sweater that I'm wearing for the day there when I get home. I have my belt over here. I had taken my cedar chest down for a while and put it in front of the day bed. It's just in the way when it's there. So I put it back up there, and I think it makes this area a little easier to use. You can walk right over to the comfortable chair. You can walk right over to the day bed and sit down. This stool, which came from my house in Kansas City, can be used as a bench or a coffee table or a footstool. It's a little worse than for wear. I see some of the wicker, whatever that is breaking, but I've had that since, I don't know, I might have had it for 20 years. I have images of Patrick sitting on it as a small child, so I'm sure I had it for a long time. So that's how the place is looking. There is a article going around the internet talking about whether people who live tiny live more sustainable lives or diminish their footprint, or whatever term you want to use. As you can see, I still use paper towels and single-use plastic. I don't care for the taste of the water in the park, so I do drink bottled water. I actually drink bottled water in Kansas City too. I just, whether it's here or anywhere else, I just don't like the taste of tap water. So that's a problem. I would subscribe to a reusable service at the grocery store, and I'm sure at your grocery store you can go and refill bottles. So I might start doing that. Paper towels, big issue. I found these at the dollar store the other day. They're reusable cloths. They're actually fabric. I'm going to try to start using those instead of paper towels. So that's how it's looking. And I think things are in a good place. I had not liked that wicker cabinet under there for a long time, really, because it was so narrow, and I just tended to stuff things in it and not keep it orderly. The wicker cabinet that had been up there with my printer on it had a bunch of papers in it, which are now on the floor of my writing loft. My next job this morning is going to be to go through those. We have a shredder at work. I'll probably take them and shred most of them, then move that wicker cabinet to where the printer goes, put the printer back, and then I'll feel good about it. I think more than a traditional house, a tiny house requires constant vigilance not to accumulate stuff, and also to re-examine how you're using the small space that you have and try to make it the best that it can be. And I like doing that, so it works out okay. Thanks for spending a few minutes of my tiny life with me. I hope seeing how I revise and reorganize inspires you to revise and reorganize your nest, and I'll see you next time.